Right, it's just a quick video for those of you who may be doing your close protection top-up course, or you may be doing the new close protection qualification. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the principles of working as a door supervisor for close protection operatives. Now, a lot of you probably have no experience, or let's face it, have no intentions of working on licensed premises whatsoever, but it is a unit that we do need to cover. So that being said, here's a few things in this very short video just to help you get your game on track, put your mind in the right direction before you get started. So the first thing you need to know is there are two types of licenses. You've got a premises license, that's a license for the premises itself to sell alcohol. Then there is a personal license. So this is a personal license is held by a personal license holder, usually the manager, known to us as the DPS, the designated premises supervisor. So we as security operatives act on behalf of the DPS. The DPS will set the admissions policies, the house rules, for example, and we're there to make sure that people adhere to those rules and admissions policies. Also, whilst we're on the door, we'll be making sure that the venue complies with the 4 licensing objectives. Now, the 4 licensing objectives are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of a public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. Now, everything we do comes off the 4 licensing objectives. It comes to the back end of the 4 licensing objectives. Everything we do comes off the 4 licensing objectives. So, for example, prevention of crime and disorder. We can do that by, could be searching people on the way into a venue, making sure they're not bringing in any nefarious items, such as drugs or weapons, maintaining order, making sure that people's behaviour doesn't get out of hand, etc. Then you've got our second one, which is public safety, which is the big one. We all saw what happened down at the O2 in Brixton, didn't we? Terrible what happened down there. 2 people sadly lost their lives. So public safety is a big one when working on licensed premises. And we need to make sure, obviously, the correct number of people are coming in. So if we've got a capacity of 300, we do not exceed that. It could be queue management, going up and down the queue, making sure that the queue's tucked in safely. There aren't people spewed out into the road where they're going to get injured. And also, making sure, obviously, the number of people that can come in are limited to the queue. So, for example, if we've only got like 50 spaces left, we count up 50 spaces and we tell the people that are there, obviously, you won't be getting in from here. We're going to be at full capacity. Could be checking fire exits, etc., making sure, that the fire exits are clear and walkways, etc. And we've got prevention of a public nuisance. So we could do that by, could be a dispersal orders after a nightclub is kicked out. We've got 500 people in the gaff giving it all Charlie Big Spuds. They come out the club and now they all start congregating outside the club, break into a bigger party outside the club. We don't want that, so we need to make sure that people move on so we don't get complaints from neighbours. We don't have any antisocial behaviour. So we need to make sure that people move on and get out, get moving and get home safely. And then we've got the protection of children from harm. So we can do that by checking IDs, making sure that people, are the correct age. So the correct age to drink alcohol or consume or buy alcohol is 18 years of age. So we need to make sure that they are 18 years of age. So we can do that by checking their IDs. There are 3 types of IDs we're allowed to accept, which is a passport, a driver's license, and a pass, a proof of age standard scheme pass card. Now, officially, there are only 3 types of ID that you're allowed to accept. Also, with the protection of children from harm, it could be, on licensed premises. For example, some pubs you go in, they do allow children into the premises, but they may have to leave by a certain time due to the conditions on the license. So it could be 7 p.m, 8 p.m, 9 p.m, whatever it is, they'll have to leave by that time. Children are not allowed to buy alcohol or consume alcohol on the licensed premises. However, there is one exception to this. If the child is aged between 16 and 17 years of age and they're accompanied by an adult and the adult purchases them alcohol with a full table meal. So the alcohol could be, a beer, wine or cider, but it has to be consumed with a full table meal and they have to be in company with the adults themselves. So for example, it could be, some parents have taken their kid out, for dinner. And they, as long as they're with them, they purchase the alcohol, they purchase the food, and they have to be present whilst that alcohol is consumed. Another thing to be aware of is vulnerable people. So who are vulnerable people and what makes people vulnerable? So vulnerable people, it could be somebody who's had a few to drink, they're intoxicated, it could be through drink or drugs. Okay, they lose their inhibitors, they don't know who they are, where they are, or what they're up to. They're completely smashed. So we have a duty of care to make sure that these people get home safely. So we could do that by seeing if there's any friends or family nearby who can assist, or we might need to call them a licensed taxi to get home. And if worse comes to worse, we might need to hand them over to the police. Obviously, they've got more resources at their fingertips than we do. Other things that could make people vulnerable, for example, it could be a lone female who's been separated from her friends, and apparently receiving unwanted attention from somebody at the bar, for example. Be another thing that we need to keep an eye on. Rolling on to that, we've got to look at domestic violence, so often fueled by alcohol. So obviously we have to nip that in the bud if we see any sort of arguments escalating and whatnot. On the topic of vulnerable people, we need to be aware of sexual predators. So who are sexual predators? And how can we tell, what are the telltale signs to look out for? So one example could be, somebody who's completely sober, seems very helpful and friendly, leaving with somebody who's intoxicated. So leaving with somebody who's completely smashed, but they're stone cold sober. So then our antennas should go up, and obviously we might need to ask a few questions, and we'll find out who this person are and if they were together, and stop that from happening. My business has come across this a few times over the years. We've stopped people, and actually we've even locked the pub before now to stop people leaving with people until the police have arrived. And when the police have turned up, it's come apparent that they had been drugged, and the person they were with actually had used Rohypnol. So this is something that does happen. As I said, my company has come across this a few times over the years. So these are just a few things you need to take into account. So obviously DPS, Designated Premises Supervisor. We act on behalf of the Designated Premises Supervisor. The 4 licensing objectives you need to be aware of, and vulnerable people and sexual predators, what to look out for. If you like this video, if you find it helpful, please make sure you like it and share it, and all that game. Thanks a lot for watching, and all the best.